can!
It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So, a good performance.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, an under-fire Indian skipper Rohit Sharma is playing tough cop. He's asking bowlers to step up and deliver. The captain has questioned the NCA on Mohammed Shami's unavailability. But what about the batting? There are far too many gaping holes in that lineup. Even as we speak about Manchester United, that's dealing with a shitty affair. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not speaking about their performance on the field, but a menace that seems to have hit their stadium. Mouse droppings were discovered at a food stall and a corporate suite that has fans enraged. And that's not all. How has the theatre of dreams transformed to a theatre of nightmare? And Netflix is going to air NFL games this Christmas, but the biggest teaser to that has been one of the performers ahead of the games, Beyonce, trolling Netflix. More on that in the show, but first, a look at the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, India beat West Indies by 115 runs in the second of their three-match women's ODI series. Captain Harmanpreet Kaur opted to bat first. India posted 358 runs, courtesy Harleen Deor's century. In response, West Indies were bowled out for 243 runs. On to football, Brazilian midfielder Oscar will join his boyhood club Sao Paulo. He's signed a 3-year contract with the club until 2027. Oscar began his career in 2008. The Brazilian has played for Chelsea and Shanghai Port in the past. 5 men have been sentenced for violent attacks during a Europa League match between Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv in Amsterdam last month. Fans have been given jail sentence of up to 6 months. The incident involved pro-Palestinian demonstrators targeting Israeli football fans. 5 people were hospitalized and several others suffered minor injuries. 3 baseball teams will pay more than 84% of the total luxury taxes due for Major League Baseball. A total of $311 million were paid in taxes. Los Angeles Dodgers with $103 million, New York Mets $97.1 million, and New York Yankees with $62.5 have received the biggest tax bills for 2024. And Swiss Olympic snowboarder Sophie Hediger died at the age of 26. She was killed in an avalanche while skiing with a companion. Hediger represented Switzerland in the 2022 Winter Olympics in China. The Swiss Boarding Federation has expressed its condolences. The third test between the two countries kicks off tomorrow, a day after Christmas, but there is little merriment, especially in the Indian camp, as they gear up to tackle the hosts after a loss in the previous test. The Boxing Day test is a huge challenge for India. It's the Indian skipper who's landing the punches ahead of the test. The target is his own team. Captain Rohit Sharma is always the smiling face in press conferences. Win or lose, Rohit Sharma is on point with his philosophical take on the situation. He's practical, funny, and knows how to keep things light. But the build-up to this test has been anything but that. Rohit Sharma is turning into a bit of a bad cop for this one before they take the field in Melbourne tomorrow. Jasprit Bumrah has carried the responsibility of the entire bowling attack single-handedly on his shoulders. He's been the bowler Australia has feared the most, and Rohit Sharma is asking the rest to show up.
Bumrah is certainly making the most of it. It's always nice to have somebody like him in your team. When he's at that form, the job of the other bowlers becomes a little easier. Siraj and the other guys who are bowling around him obviously know they need to step up to get the job done as well.
While he acknowledges that Jasprit Bumrah has been the best, he's also telling the rest of the bowlers to pull up their socks, because Bumrah in the series has taken 21 wickets single-handedly. The rest of the bowlers have contributed to 26 collectively. It's a stark difference, and that has in fact been the bottom line in this entire series. Over-reliance on the one pacer who's leading the charge tirelessly. And Rohit Sharma is asking his team to change that narrative. Harshit Rana was introduced at the start of the series, and while he did dismiss Travis Head, Rana was not impressive in keeping that pressure up. Akash Deep stepped in, and while he was the right replacement, he is still someone who is very young in this, someone who needs more time to learn the ropes. Unfortunately, Bumrah is the most experienced and skillful of the lot. R. Ashwin, the other senior-most bowler in the ranks, not only announced his retirement right in the middle of the series but left for India the very next day, which has also ruffled some feathers and created an unrest in that dressing room. Thirdly, of course, Rohit Sharma had hoped that Mohammed Shami would have joined the squad early to give the much required boost and that added firepower support from the other end to go with Bumrah. But that did not pan out the way their skipper would have liked to. You sensed the frustration at the presser some days back when he said this.
I think it's high time somebody from NCA talks about him, where he is rehabbing. The door is open if those guys at the NCA feel that he is okay to go and recover and play. We'll be happy to have him.
And so days after that statement, the BCCI was forced to release one saying Shami was unfit for selection for the rest of the series. This just came a couple of days back. Shami, in fact, has not played international cricket for little over a year now. And that's a huge break if you just take a look at that timeline of his. He last played the ODI World Cup. That was last October, November in India. He sustained an ankle injury right after that required surgery. He gave the ODI series versus Sri Lanka and South Africa a miss. He skipped the 2024 IPL, the entire Indian Premier League, and had to also skip the Test series against England, Bangladesh, New Zealand, and of course now with this one, Australia. He was recuperating at home. In fact, there were many fluttering moments earlier this year when Shami released a lot of these pictures and videos of him practicing at his home. That, of course, gave many a hope that he would come back sooner. And he did make a comeback to domestic cricket just last month. He featured in the Ranji Trophy for his state side, West Bengal, and looked promising. In his comeback game, he bowled more than 40 overs, took 7 wickets and even made a quick-fire 36 with the bat. He also went on to play all of the T20 matches at the Saeed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, around 9 of them, before his knee started experiencing swelling. He went to the NCA, where he remains. What he's getting really good at while recovering at the NCA is his batting. Reportedly, Shami is striking some lusty blows at the NCA nets, which brings me to an apt point as we look ahead to that Boxing Day test. Now, I understand Rohit Sharma's frustration when it comes to his bowling unit and him seeking those answers against an Australian lineup, but the batting has clearly let the team down, Rohit Sharma included. The highest individual scores have come in the first test at Perth when 2 of their top order batters scored hundreds. We remembered those knocks, Virat Kohli and Yashasvi Jaiswal. In fact, their highest team score was only at Perth. Thereafter, the batters collectively have made scores of 180, 175 and 260. That's how India's team totals have looked. Now, I understand Rohit Sharma's fury, but there are many gaping holes in that lineup that needs fixing, and that's not just the bowling. In the batting department, the experienced hands have not delivered, and the youngsters have been overawed by the situation, resulting in India really coming under a lot of pressure.
All these boys, Gill, Jaiswal and Pant, are in the same boat. Let's not complicate their process. They know what expectations are with them. When you travel abroad, it's not that easy to put on those big runs every time you step out. We need to make them aware of the match process and the small things. We don't need to complicate their plans and thought process.
Rohit Sharma also went on to say that modern day greats like Virat Kohli will find his own way and didn't need any other support from any other quarter for this. The news, of course, that we are also hearing is that Rohit Sharma could actually come out and open with Yashasvi Jaiswal. There might be a lot of rearrangement to that batting lineup with KL Rahul moving up, which makes us wonder where would Virat Kohli or someone like Shubman Gill feature. Time is ticking though, and they need to try and make these experiments, which is probably the reason why the team is thinking this way. So while it's good to play the tough cop occasionally like he's had, a lot of self-reflection is the need of the hour, which we would hope to see at Melbourne. If the phrase fall from grace had a face, Manchester United would be the brand ambassador of it. The theatre of dreams has turned into a theatre of nightmares. And it isn't just United's abysmal performances on the field that I'm talking about, but one of the biggest clubs in the world, the most lucrative clubs, is now facing the issue of mouse droppings. Mouse poop was found in a ground-level corporate suite and worse, in a kiosk that sells food to all of its fans at the stadium. And here's the best, if I could call it that, part. The discovery happened during inspection for food hygiene. So the kitchen and food preparation areas were all kept spotlessly clean to show a hygienic front, but the management failed to hide the droppings in other parts of the stadium. This, of course, led to a massive fall in Manchester United's food and hygiene ratings, just like how United are struggling at the 13th position in that points table in the Premier League. Their food and hygiene ratings is now reduced to 2 out of 5. Not the first time, though, that United's hospitality has come under the scanner. Just last year, the ratings dropped to 1 after raw chicken was served to corporate clients. The club somehow managed to increase its ratings to 4, but the mouse poop fiasco has meant United has struck a new low. It's clearly a pathetic time if you are a United fan, player, or even someone who's part of the management. Because if the horror show by the players wasn't enough to worry about, the club is actually becoming a dumping ground, home to mouse waste. And if you thought rats were the only problem United had to deal with, the century-old ground is facing leakage issues too. And it happened for the world to see during their manager Ruben Amorim's press conference after their last game. And this wasn't the only instance. The waterfall through the roof is a frequent sighting at Old Trafford. And no, it isn't United fans' tears that are overflowing the roof. The stadium is in dire need of repair and massive refurbishment, which is why Ineos Group of Jim Ratcliffe, who own a 28.94% stake in the club, is exploring whether to revamp Old Trafford or build a new stadium altogether. But when will that really happen? Because every week the historic club is facing one embarrassment after another. The leaked roof, mouse droppings, and the cost-cutting drive that has made United's situation rather precarious and turning out to be a bit of a joke now. The owners do not seem to be doing anything to make the stadium at least pass the basic tests. The performance of the club on the field is anyway in shambles, but are they at least trying to keep their fans happy? Not really. Ever since Ratcliffe's takeover, the irony in that name right now cannot be missed, the club is on a money-saving mode. They have implemented various cost-cutting measures. Ever since Ratcliffe's takeover, the club has sacked more than 250 employees. Not just that, the club increased ticket prices mid-season, making fans very furious. That's, of course, part of the protests that all of these fans got together to stage outside the stadium ahead of one of the games. Alex Ferguson, going on to another issue here, who was Manchester United's ambassador after 2013 when he quit as manager, was forced to leave as his salary was getting too expensive for the club. And the latest was to cut down bonuses for stewards. Previously, the stewards received a $128 attendance bonus for every 10 matches that they worked at. Additionally, a Steward of the Week was awarded $63 for exceptional service. But all of that has been slashed, done away with. All these cost-cutting measures didn't sit down too well with fans, even forcing some of the stewards to leave their jobs. United management claims the reason behind this cost-cutting initiative is because of the club suffering losses. They say they suffered losses of more than $130 million. But here's a question that every United fan is asking. Where is all the money going? Because despite United struggling in the league, they are still the biggest club, not just in England, but across the world. The club has earned over $850 million in revenue through various channels, commercial, broadcast and matchday fees, which is quite a heavy sum. And that revenue is expected to be anything between $850 to $890 million next year. So clearly the club is earning quite a bit, but it's their poor decisions that's costing them the big bucks. Think about it. The poor Manchester United, who spent and lost millions in their constant hiring and sacking of top management and coaches, feel the best way to save is by cutting down costs to the $63 bonuses that they're handing out to the stewards. Does that even make any sense? United's sacking and appointment have cost them way too much. This is how much they've lost over the last 6 months alone. The club first sacked Erik ten Hag and paid him and his staff around $13 million in compensation. They then paid over $13 million in compensation to Sporting for Ruben Amorim's appointment. And the biggest mockery of it all, United paid Newcastle $6.3 million to get Dan Ashworth for the role of director, only for him to be sacked 5 months later. So given the club is spending millions to cover up their mistakes, it was bound to suffer the losses too. What is shameful though is that the faithfuls who've served at Old Trafford for years do not get their bonuses and are the scapegoats in this. All of this even as the club continues to spend millions on transfers regularly. Their football certainly proves they have an average pool of players, but who are still earning in millions. The bigger worry, though, is that the club is not smart enough to invest where it truly matters. But how long can the fans really be patient with the management? The rise in ticket costs, the unhygienic stadium and the facilities, the crumbling infrastructure, all pointing towards Man United taking fans for granted, not caring for one of the biggest reasons why Man United became, well, Manchester United. And then it won't be fans paying for their tickets to watch the game. Maybe it would be a family of mice who have happily set up a big home for themselves at Old Trafford, watching an already struggling United play. Christmas got merrier for the NFL fans as giant OTT streaming service Netflix scored a bit of a touchdown here. In a first, the platform will broadcast 2 live NFL Christmas games. The doubleheader will feature Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs taking on Pittsburgh Steelers, and then later, Baltimore Ravens will take on Houston Texans. But it isn't just the NFL matches that has got fans all hyped up. The entertainment that comes along with Netflix's arrival has got the fans excited. American singers Beyonce, Mariah Carey and pop group Pentatonix are set to perform at halftime. But what's got them all the more excited, more than the games, is the trolling face-off between Beyonce and Netflix. So what's really cooking there? Take a look.
Even before Santa Claus could deliver his Christmas gifts, NFL fans have got their treat with news of doubleheaders streaming on the OTT platform Netflix. The delight of watching Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers might have been the headliner for NFL fans, but American singers Beyonce, Mariah Carey and the pop group Pentatonix seem to have stolen the limelight from the NFL stars, particularly Beyonce. Beyonce took a subtle dig at Netflix in a teaser uploaded on X. And this isn't the first time Netflix is broadcasting a match live. The first was the marquee fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. The match attracted hordes of audiences across the globe who logged on to catch the super fight. But it also had its own share of glitches, with delays and buffering hitting viewers, and Beyonce made it a point to troll Netflix for that. Netflix took the taunt rather sportingly. The OTT giant not only responded to Beyonce's post, but also changed their bio to this. Quite the marketing move from the streaming platform. With the trolling and the exchanges, Netflix has succeeded in generating more hype for the game, turning their minor blip during the Tyson-Paul fight to an opportunity with this NFL relay. And this seems to be just the beginning. Netflix is slowly becoming a platform for sports lovers too. It all started with a documentary on Formula One called Drive to Survive. The 5th season alone saw a massive boost of nearly 570,000 viewers in its first week of launch. So NFL, which is still an all-out American sport, is clearly using Netflix to try and gain a more global audience. Win-win.
The Netflix initiative is so great for us. The nice thing about having Netflix live on Boxing Day morning is creating this new tradition. It's another tentpole moment on the NFL calendar for fans to really engage and lean into. And it's still a public holiday.
The fact Netflix have leaned into this so much. They're going to service those fans and countries maybe where English isn't the first language with local language commentary. I think it's really exciting and probably speaks a lot to the growth of the NFL globally.
And here's the kicker. Netflix's spring ambitions aren't just restricted to Formula One and NFL. The streaming giants and FIFA have agreed on a deal to exclusive broadcasting rights to the next 2 FIFA Women's World Cup tournaments in 2027 and 2031. Netflix has dabbled in tennis too when they broadcasted an exhibition match between Carlos Alcaraz and tennis ace Rafael Nadal earlier this year. So clearly, the entertainment service is attracting the traditional TV audience to its own platform. The aim is to create a new tradition, and sports seems to be the driving force.
Time for last serve. Ahead of Christmas, the skiing got a big boost with heavy snowfall at the French Alps. Watch kids and other skiers enjoying a snowy Christmas. On that note, wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas. That does it here on Firstpost. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care.